I'll be hanging out with you for the next 4 hours. This is when the show gets started every weekday at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 Pacific. I'm in Atlanta, Georgia. Our super producer and host, Ryan Hickey, he's in New York City. And we got a lot to get into. The New York Jets providing plenty of fodder as they fire their head coach Rob Saleh 6 weeks ago. And today, they fire the general manager, Joe Douglas. You want to take a guess who gets the boot next? We'll talk about it in a minute. This playoff on a rise, but how much? Trey Wallace is going to join us. Outkick college football writer. He'll be here, in a matter of fact, in 20 minutes to give us a preview as to what we can expect with the latest college football playoff rankings. Dallas Cowboys get blasted at home last night by the Houston Texans. Houston Texans make fun of the metal piece that falls out of the sky at Cowboy Stadium. We found out that Tyrese Maxey thinks Joel Embiid needs to get it together. Can't even show up to work on time, let alone play. I guess maybe that's why he doesn't show up. I told you last night, Bo Nix continues to impress. The rest of this NFL season is shaping up, well, for the bad teams.
Central Texas home for sports. It's Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports. Catch all your in-depth sports analysis with the best. The hottest sports show in the evening is Centex Primetime, hosted by Jalen Gillis. Act like y'all. Weekdays 5 to 7. This is the Central Texas #1 leader in sports. Centex Sports Network.
That's right, sports fans.
We can talk about sports.
And Infinity Sports. Central Texas home for sports. It's Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports. KWBT-FM, HD2 Waco, Temple, Killeen, Fort Cavazos. The new leader in sports in Central Texas is Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports.
Holy Jesus. What is that?
It's time to get in the game.
Do you know what time it is?
Tune in to Primetime Sports Talk with Jalen Gillis.
To me, you are nothing.
Your go-to source for breaking sports news in Central Texas and exclusive Dallas Cowboys coverage.
Come on, start it up. Let's go.
Catch us Monday through Thursday from 5 to 7 p.m. on the Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back into Centex Prime Time. I am your host, Jalen Gillis, as we get ready to take you through the primetime topics in sports, not just in the Central Texas area, but from all around the nation. Hope everybody is doing great today on this Tuesday afternoon. Just about a week away from Thanksgiving. This year is flying by. I can't believe that we're already getting to Thanksgiving time. Almost Turkey Day, which means after that, it's pretty much Christmas. For me, pretty much the day right after Thanksgiving, Christmas season starts. For me, I'm a December baby, so Christmas is my favorite time of the year, as always. And I'm sure probably my son's favorite time of the year as well. So he's going to be getting toys and gifts from every direction this coming up Christmas. But like I said, hope everybody's doing great today. As always, make sure you guys go over to YouTube. For those of you that aren't watching with us on YouTube, Centex Sports Network / Centex Sports TV. Go on there and hit that subscribe button. You can get notified if you click the bell every time that we go live here 5 to 7 p.m. weekdays. Also, you can download the app if you want to listen on Infinity Sports Radio, Central Texas. Download the app Centex Sports One. You can listen to this content 5 to 7 p.m. weekdays right here on Centex Prime Time. Well, folks, I planned on coming in today. I tried to pull up a movie scene on YouTube so that could be what's playing when we came into the show today, but couldn't get the edited version of it. I wanted to get the scene. I know all of y'all seen Baby Boy out there, especially anybody that's ever watched BET. It probably comes on 3 times a day. There's a scene in there where the dude takes his belt off and starts whooping another dude on there with his belt. And that's the scene I was going to play because that's pretty much what I witnessed last night as I got a chance to go to the Dallas Cowboys versus Houston Texans game up at AT&T Stadium. It was a great game for me, of course. If you're a Texans fan, it was a great game. If you're not a Texans fan, you probably have a little bit different of an opinion. We'll have Rocky in studio with us a little later. Also, I'm joined on here by Kyrell, And, maybe they didn't view it the same as I did. But it was a great game, great outing. Got a chance to be amongst the great Cowboy fans. Going into the game, I didn't really think, man, I'm not going to talk to the trash. I'm not going to say anything because, you don't got to kick them while they down. The Cowboys are down right now. They're very down. I'm like, I got to add fuel to the fire and kick them while they're down. Until I got into the stadium and got to be around those wonderful, wonderful Cowboys fans who had so much to say, even though their team is now 3-7. It reignited that fire back in me once again to want to talk about the Cowboys. But we're not going to spend too much time on them today. We are going to talk about the game. Today we are going to do our mid-season NFL awards. So today is going to be kind of an NFL day. Which one of these teams are going to be the ones that are really going to make a run? Who's poised to make a real run in these playoffs? As we're about 6-7 weeks away from the playoffs now, teams are starting to create some separation between themselves and the other teams, and we'll get a chance to talk about those teams. Who we think has a real chance to make some noise in these playoffs, and who do we think is just going to be a decent regular season team? Because there's plenty of those as well. Like I said, I got Kyrell on here joining with me. Kyrell, what's going on, man? I know it was a rough night last night. You probably didn't watch the game, so I don't know. What's going on, though, man?
Nah, man. My service that I use was having Netflix issues, so wasn't able to watch the game in its entirety, every single play.
Yeah,
It's
okay.
excruciating. But I did see all the turnovers. What else? Yeah,
We
I
know
don't
you
know,
watched it,
man.
man. You don't have to admit it. We
I
know
did
you
watch
watched a
it,
little
man.
bit of it.
I was just trying to pull up a play that would summarize, the feeling I had, but I can't really. Nothing's really sticking out. But yeah, I watched the game, man. I was hyped after the first after we scored, but was quickly reminded how sorry my team is this year.
Hey, man,
And
like I said, I
yeah,
wasn't
that's it.
gonna say nothing about the game, man. But being around the Cowboys fans, they can just bring it out of you. The amount of trash talking that was going on at the game, I'm like, dog, do y'all know y'all are 3-6? But I don't think it matters if they were 0-9. The Cowboys fans, especially the ones that patronize and go to every single game, they're gonna say what they have to say. So we'll talk about the game coming up in just a second. Like I said, we got the NFL awards we're gonna talk about. And we got the contenders and pretenders segment. So gonna be a fun day on the show. Joining me in studio, I have Mr. Rocky Miller in here studio with me. Rock, what's going on, man?
Hey, man, I'm not sure what's going on, man. My Cowboys, I thought I had accepted the fact that this is our year, but I sat down and watched the game last night, and it made me feel worse. You know what I mean? It reminds me of a time when we had I can't remember the guy, all those guys,
Quincy Carter, those
No,
days.
not Quincy. Quincy wasn't bad. Quincy.
Okay.
The guy that I'm thinking about is the guy who was from Michigan that started in front of Tom Brady. I can't.
Man, I can't think of dude's
Yeah,
name. But
him.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Drew Bledsoe.
Yeah.
No, he talking about the dude that was at Michigan. Dude that was at
Come
Michigan.
on. Was that Ryan Leaf?
No.
Ryan Leaf was at Washington State.
No.
Washington
We
State,
had him. We did have Ryan Leaf for a minute, didn't we?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. We had him. Then we had oh man, I'm trying to think of the other guy we had. Man, we had a bunch of bumps. Vinny Testaverde. We had a bunch of bumps, man. So again, we're a long way away, man. and yesterday made me realize it just even more. It also, I had to accept that though he's not the reason we're losing, he hasn't helped us much, and that is the coach. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He hadn't helped us. Anytime, I can't believe he went into the game plan saying, Cooper Rush, we're going to win the game with Cooper Rush throwing the ball 40 times a game. I can't believe nobody in their right mind would even devise the game plan like that.
Well, that's exactly what Mike McCarthy decided to do as he went into the game. And, folks, we'll segue right into the Monday night game, Cowboys versus Texans, 34-10 win for the Houston Texans over the Dallas Cowboys. C.J. Stroud, 23 for 34, 257 yards, no touchdowns and a pick. The star of the game was obviously Joe Mixon, 20 carries, 109 yards, 3 touchdowns in the game. Nico Collins made his first game back after being on IR for majority of the season. 4 catches, 54 yards. Tank Dell also chipped in with 54 yards. Joe Mixon had 44 yards catching the ball as well, too. He was kind of all over the field. For the Dallas Cowboys, Cooper Rush, 32 for 55. 55 is a lot of passes. 32 for 55, 354 yards, a touchdown, and 1 pick. Rico Dowdell, 10 carries, 28 yards. Deuce Vaughn, 4 carries for 13 yards. Ezekiel Elliott made an appearance right there, 1 carry for 8 yards. CeeDee Lamb, 8 catches, 93 yards in that game. Turpin had 3 catches for 86 yards. He broke a 64-yard touchdown, and that's the one Kyrell was talking about that kind of gave him hope. And they were loud in there, Kyrell. I ain't gonna lie. They was when Turpin scored that touchdown, there was a lot of hope in the building at that point, but it kind of had left after that. And on the defensive side, didn't do much. Michael Parsons back once again, only 1 tackle in this game, no tackles for loss, no sacks, no QB hits. So Dallas Cowboys.
Now you shaping it, trying to make it sound. The dude actually had 10 pressures.
Okay, my bad. Okay.
I mean, let's not.
I seen him out there.
Yeah.
I was just reading the stat off.
Yeah. He didn't. You know, when a guy has 10 pressures, one guy, he's balling. He just, like I say, he wasn't able to get home. Again, our defense is having a challenge at this time. He doesn't have any help in the defensive line. The fear-dreaded Mozzie Smith never showed up. You know, some guy wearing 58 showed up, and he's not feared or dreaded. You know what I mean? I mean, it's a tough watch, man, for a Cowboy fan. I understand why everybody's dancing on our grave right now. I accept it, but we will always be from here until Jesus comes home, the 5-time Super Bowl world champ. And how many did the Texans got now?
0.
Oh,
that was the argument in the back. I mean, I couldn't even go to the bathroom without people arguing. I'm trying to go to the bathroom. Kyrell Day and the Stars arguing with each other. Y'all ain't never won. Y'all got 0 chips. We got 5 of them.
Yeah.
Oh, y'all ain't won since the 90s. I said, hey, man, come on, dog.
There's a reason
this
why.
This is crazy.
You got to understand, we are not the Detroit Lions.
Oh, no.
We are not. You know what I mean? We are the Dallas Cowboys. That's why when the America could have chose any team that they could, they chose America's team. They chose us to defend America's honor, and we took that on as our mantra, right? So we are America's team. So again, we accept the hate, right? But this is what I hate. This is what bothers me more than anything. We're down now. Y'all dancing on our grave.
For sure.
We accept it as being the truth. When we do hold that trophy up again, right, will y'all bow down and give us the praise that we deserve?
You know that's never gonna happen, man. When you the most watched thing in the world, bigger than any TV show, bigger than any sport, bigger than any sporting event, any show, whatever it is, the most watched thing every year is the Dallas Cowboys. That amount of love has to come with an equal amount of hate, because that's just how it is, and that's how it is for most people. You either love the Cowboys or you hate the Cowboys. They pick pretty simple of which one is going to be. And like I said, the fandom hasn't went away. It was packed in there. And when they made a field goal, you would have thought Santonio Holmes just caught the game-winning touchdown in the back of the end zone in the Super Bowl against when the Steelers beat the Cardinals that time. That's how loud it was in there. They were still loud. They were still rowdy, still rocking, even though They're now 3-7. So looking at this team now, of course, Jerry Jones always does his post-game interviews and whatnot, and I don't know why he says some of the stuff he says, but he comes out and I feel like he adds more fuel to the fire with his roundabout way of not answering any questions and just the way that he's approached this offseason. Because honestly, the team was on a losing streak coming into this because of the way that the offseason went and then not signing anybody. They said, we're going all in, and not a we. Jerry Jones said, we're going all in, and we're going to do anything it takes to win a championship. And they signed a long snapper in Linval Joseph as their all-in chips moves. If you bring in the exact same team plus losing key pieces, this is the result you're going to get. And unfortunately, that's what they have. The bright side is you still have a Micah Parsons, even though I see people saying they should trade Micah and get a big haul for Micah. You still have Dak and you still have CD. You still have pieces to build around. It's just the part that doesn't give me hope, even though I'm not a Cowboys fan, is the person that's doing the building is what it kind of throws me off in their scenario.
Let me be perfectly honest with you. I have faith in Jerry Jones, and I have faith in, more importantly, Will McCray, their vice president of personnel and player personnel. So I think they haven't had horrible drafts, right? What they have had is the unwillingness to address the running game. And I'll say this. I don't care how you address it. You can address it with a running back. You can address it with offensive line. Until you get a running game to assist Dak, he's not going to be the player that he can be because Dak is a guy that needs a running game for him to be as effective as he can be. Can Dak throw for 300 or 400 yards? Yes. But each and every time he does that, we lose.
Yeah, and that's true. That's true. And when you think about how the teams were built, I mean, in rebuilding this team, they got to go back to rebuilding not only like that how they built the teams in the 90s, obviously, but even in the 2010s and the teams that they've had success, it's been in the trenches. You had the best left tackle in the league at Tyron Smith. You had the best guard in the league at Zach Martin. You had the best center in the league in Travis Frederick. On the other side, you've had your Jamarcus Wares. You've had even when DeMarcus Lawrence had his success, you got to rebuild in those trenches first and kind of rebuild from the inside out.
And we got to develop a defensive identity. I think one of the problems with our defense is that we've had a willingness to revamp. Each time we get an offensive coordinator, a defensive coordinator, we revamp the defense. We revamp it. I think as an organization, we need to come up with a defensive identity. I love, even though I hate the team, I love what Pittsburgh does from a defensive standpoint.
Yeah.
They run the 3-4, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're going to draft players that fit that scheme.
Yeah.
And they're never going to bring in a guy who runs the 4-3 or anything like that. They bring people in that do what they do. Yeah. Same thing that Baltimore does as well.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to bring in a guy that wants to change how they run a defense.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the things I think Dallas has to do moving forward. We have to come up with what kind of scheme we want to be defensively, and then we need to draft to that scheme.
Yes.
And then find defensive coordinators that can use the guys that run that scheme.
Yeah, and I think that's all going to be part of their new coaching search because we know Mike McCarthy is going to be gone, even though Jerry Jones keeps avoiding. Yeah, he's walking the plank right now. He's already at the tip looking down right now. He just knows he don't have to jump until the second week of January when the season's over. Kyrell, get in on this, man. What do you think about the obviously the game yesterday, but just what we were just discussing and the future of the Cowboys coming up?
Yeah, man. He ain't gonna be the only one that needs to that's gonna walk the plank either.
He's not.
I think, and I've kind of swayed my mind on the whole Belichick thing, man. But the way I see it, it has to be a way where Jerry loses his power because I like Will McCray and his Will McClay in this way and his ability to identify talent and everything. But as a part of that staff, somewhere on that staff, we haven't been able to find defensive line players
Oh yeah, yeah, we have.
at a good rate. Oh no, absolutely not.
No, we haven't found any. Okay, so where we draft, we're not gonna find a guy like Warren Sapp, or we're not gonna find.
Oh no, absolutely not. But we not Warren Sapp, but we spending third round picks and first round picks and high draft picks, and these guys are turning out to be busts. Outside of
you're saying
DeMarcus
the
Lawrence.
guys that we drafted that aren't well. I think we've drafted depth, right? We just haven't been able to draft frontline defensive
Legitimate
players.
starting on any team type of D lineman.
So you got to understand, 2 years ago when we were playing literally two defensive lines, and I think I can't name all the guys, but
they all on the Commanders.
Yeah, they're on a different. They're all
Dante
on
Flower, Dorrance Armstrong. Odiggy's still out there.
Yeah,
those are signings. We've had three good backups drafted to the Dallas Cowboys. That's Dorrance Armstrong and Odiggy. Everybody else can't stay on the 53 these past couple of years. I think Malik Collins had a nice time.
Malik
had a decent
run.
start. Yeah,
he got hurt or something.
But
he on the Niners now.
Nobody's getting second contracts from the Cowboys. So my point is, they're not like Tristan Hill. That was a third round draft pick. Look, Will McClay can identify talent. My point I'm trying to say is there needs to be some revamping in our scouting department on defense.
You also got to realize when we change schemes on the defensive line multiple times, it makes certain players obsolete. Like, there's only 1-3 technique if you're going to run a 3-4 style, right? There's only 1-3 technique. You know what I mean? The other two guys have to be more pluggers than anything else.
Mm-hmm.
So we haven't had a anchor of a nose tackle, and I don't know, or someone to play in the A gap. We haven't had somebody like that in a long time. We thought.
Well, yeah, that's a scheme though. That was Quinn's scheme. That was pretty much Quinn's scheme, and I think the coordinator before him as well. We haven't had big noses since Jay Ratliff, if you want to consider him a big nose.
Yeah.
But everybody else has kind of been these slender guys. But still, Jerry, I don't have faith in Jerry. I think Jerry is the reason that I think he handicaps Will McClay. Because if anything, we know Will McClay can identify talent. He just has to be given the leash to go get it. So at this point, I don't have no faith in Jerry's tree or anybody. Like, if it's Will McClay, he's going to drag him down. If it's the coach, we're going to drag him down. This is part of the reason I've been swayed on the whole Belichick prospect, because I think that's probably the only man, if there is any, that can go in there and be like, look, I'm not going for this much involvement, in the decision making and everything. But that's a big wish. But I just think, man, you guys are absolutely right that we don't have an identity. We change schemes every year when these guys are drafting for their fit. The Pittsburgh Steelers defense. There is no Dallas Cowboys defense. Those guys, my thoughts on the game, man, is, look, man, CD and Trayvon was at the club. Like, this is where they at, man. They out there not trying to get hurt. I'm already in, next year's 53 mode. Like, I'm trying to see who's going to stay on this team, And right now, we don't have a lot of nothing right now. So we got, the young guys are safe, but, these in-betweens, the Mo Clarks, who else?
They should clean house though with what you've seen this year.
And also, who is our mature veteran leader?
Nobody
on the team.
There's not one leader in that locker room, and that's honestly the biggest problem over everything. Not one human in there is a leader.
It was
not
Curse.
one.
They cut him when Dan Quinn left.
It was who?
Curse. It was Javon Curse before, or J-Ron Curse, not Javon Curse.
J-Ron Curse, yeah. Yeah, I know you're talking about the safety, yeah.
But yeah, he was the leader. But he came with Dan Quinn. That was Quinn's guy. When Quinn left, they cut him too.
Let me ask you this, Kyrell. Should we have bailed on Mike McCartney after year 2 and went ahead and elevated Dan Quinn?
Absolutely. That was
biggest mistake.
You could absolutely absolutely tell that the team that was Dan Quinn's defense and really his team. Honestly, the Mike and Dak. Come on, man. Like Dak is Dak and Mike McCarthy's Mike McCarthy. Don't nobody does. How do we know that was going to mesh? You take the guy from Aaron Rodgers, and somehow we give him. What are we giving him credit for Aaron Rodgers being Aaron Rodgers? No. So obviously, your worst quarterback is going to bring out the. I don't want to say a bad coach because he won 12 games, but man, we have Rocky's right about the identity of this football team and what it needs to be with Dak Prescott for the next 3 years. Need to be a smash mouth defensive identity football team. No MVPs for that.
That's the only way to win. If you don't have I can't even say if you don't have Mahomes, because we've just seen Mahomes win like this for the last couple of years. If you don't have somebody you consider a top 3, top 4, a game changer, as Cam Newton put it, if you don't have a game changer at quarterback, you have to. There is no other way to build a team. You have to build a defensive football team, smash mouth football style of team. That's what makes we're just talking about the Steelers. That's what makes the Steelers so good, because of their philosophy of that. That's what we're going to be. They ain't never had the years that they had the best offenses, or one of the best offenses I've honestly ever seen, with Le'Veon Bell, Antonio Brown, and Roethlisberger. They were losing. They were losing games because they that's the only time that they got away from their identity. That's the only time I can remember in recent memory when the Steelers defense was soft. They would win, similar to the Cowboys, 11 or 12 games, and they were losing the first round of playoffs every single year. If you don't have that game changer, I think that's the only way that you can build your team. And so the Cowboys, they have a chance to be able to do that. I like entertaining some of the ideas. Sometimes I heard them talking about trading Micah and getting a Hall, and it can be similar to the Herschel Walker trade back in the 80s. But, I think you build around him. Micah's too young to do that. I think you build around Micah. I think you put him back at his actual position at linebacker, get him off the D line so he can start getting beat up in the run so much. Build that front 7 and build the front 5 on offense. They need when they were having success, the best teams, Cowboys teams I've seen since I've been alive has been with Tyron Smith, and has been with a Travis Frederick, and been with a Zach Martin and a Ron O'Leary when they had him out there as well. So you got to shore up that offensive line, shore up that defensive line.
Elliott.
Yeah, and then you had Zeke Elliott in there, which this is why they have the only reason I do have hope with them rebuilding. In this year's draft, you can go get you a day one starting running back in the 3rd or 4th round. Everybody's going to be enamored with going and getting Ashton Genty in the 1st round, and guys are going to try to move up to get him. This running back class is going to be about 10 to 12 deep almost, as far as real running backs coming out of college this year.
Now, one thing I do know about the this running back class, all right, there are more what you would call bell cow running backs coming out than in previous years.
Yeah.
And it's funny that that's the case, and I think it's due to the fact that I think quarterback play is not what it was.
Yes.
Or teams are figuring out that not every quarterback is worthy of putting the game on his or her shoulders.
Yes.
So again, we need to retool up front, offensive, defensive line. It's funny, like with the Cowboys, and Tyrell will understand this. For probably 20 years, the problem with the Dallas Cowboys was secondary for like 20 years. Like, we would have decent teams up front, and then we would have shaky secondary.
Brandon Carr.
For the most part, our secondary, we could take our secondary, bring our secondary back once everybody's healthy. But we have to get better in the defensive line. We have to get better. Even I'll say this: we have to get better at linebacker.
Oh, for sure.
Not necessarily in the run game, but someone who can carry the tight end up the field, or be more of a hybrid plugger type guy that can, a Patrick Queen or somebody that can do a little of both.
Yeah.
Or
you
Fred Warner. Beg your pardon?
You got one already,
Who?
So I agree.
Who's that?
Overshawn can be that.
Overshawn is overzealous, man.
Overshawn is garbage going backwards.
Yeah, Overshawn is what I was at the game last night, bro. He got shook about 7. He's too overzealous. He's going downhill, running at everything.
He's talking about in coverage, though.
Yeah. I'm talking about
even in coverage. I'm not a fan of his in coverage.
No, he he is the ideal downhill linebacker, right? The problem is the defensive line isn't giving the running back narrow alleys.
That's true.
The alleys are too wide. So when you're as decisive as he is against a shifty running back,
you're done.
I mean, you're done. But again, like all this, the Cowboys' problems can be, if we get the right, and this is all, contingent on us making the right hire at coach,
for sure,
and making a few scheme and personnel adjustments on defense, and then everybody getting back healthy on offense, and us getting the running. I know this sounds like a lot when I think about it. Yeah. And us getting the running back and shoring up the offensive line.
No, go ahead.
We got to do something at running back, because if we don't do anything at running back, Dak's going to throw for a ton of yardage, and we're going to have 7-8 wins, which I don't think that's what the fan base deserves. I think we missed one heck of a year to make some headway about getting the running back. We missed some headway about shoring up our offensive line, but I'm glad Tyron Smith is getting Aaron Rodgers killed rather than getting Dak killed.
He most definitely is doing that. He is past his prime.
We would end up having to pay him way too much.
Oh, way too much. His teammate is starting to be past his prime as well, and Zach Martin, who looks like he's out there on one leg sometimes trying to do what he's doing. But that's okay. It's just time to retool those lines, both sides of the ball, both offensive lines. So the Cowboys right now sitting at 3-7, but as Kyrell said and Rocky said, there is hope in next year. So, but it's got to be with the right staff, the right strategist, and the right players going into that. So, like I said, Cowboys 3-7. On the other side, the Texans sitting at 7-4. My Houston Texans, even though I wasn't obviously I was excited while at the game, but after you come back down off the high and leave the game, you realize, hey, man, we really still can't block anybody. Micah Parsons could have had 4 sacks in that game. We really still have issues blocking people. C.J. Stroud has taken a step back, and that's okay for me to say that. I'm always a realist about my team. Stroud has taken a step back. Part of that is due to the offensive line play. I think he hasn't played the same since he went about that 4 or 5 game stretch, getting hit 10 to 12 times every single game. I think his approach and how he even is anticipating his routes or his throws has changed. But that's all things that can
just hand the ball off more.
We could, but whenever Joe Mixon not getting off, our offense is. I'm starting to lose more faith in Bobby Slowick slowly. Even last night, certain stuff. It's 3rd and 4. I don't know why he's obsessed with these bubble screens that he's throwing to Nico Collins, a 6'4" receiver. Why is he getting bubble screens? Of course they're gonna hit him. He's as big as everybody out there on the line. Like he's a vertical stretch type of receiver, not catching the bubble screen. But hey, we're 7-4 right now. They can still try to make up for their mistakes until they eventually end up losing in the playoffs. But I will be rooting for them until they lose into the playoffs still. So folks, like
sure the playoffs. You sure about the playoffs?
Oh yeah, they're going to the playoffs. I ain't worried about that. I ain't worried about that at all. They're going to the playoffs for sure. Will we be a wild card? Yes, but we'll have home field advantage at least for one game as we go into that wild card. Folks, we're going to take a very short break. When we come back, like I said, today we are doing the NFL midseason awards. We're going to name our MVPs, Defensive Player of the Year, Coach of the Year, all of that. Stay tuned and stay locked in. We're going to take a short break here on Centex Primetime. We'll be right back.
Central Texas home for sports. It's Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports. Catch all your in-depth sports analysis with the best. The hottest sports show in the evening is Centex Primetime, hosted by Jalen Gillis.
Act like y'all.
Weekdays 5 to 7. This is the Central Texas #1 leader in sports. Centex Sports Network.
That's right, sports fans.
We can talk about sports.
And Infinity Sports.
Lighthouse Streaming, a full-scale media agency and your go-to source for all things audio and video. Is your church long overdue for audio and video upgrades? Call Lighthouse Streaming for a free consultation. Does your corporate or church event need audio or video production? Don't stress. Call the guys at Lighthouse Streaming. In business since 2017, Lighthouse Streaming has produced hundreds of live events and completed dozens of church and venue installations. Whatever your AV needs are, Lighthouse Streaming has you covered. Give them a call at 254-252-4206. That's 254-252-4206. Or go to lighthousestreaming.com and set up your free consultation.
Are you looking for something new and unforgettable in Waco? Come to the Blazing Asian, where authentic Cambodian flavors meet creative culinary flair. Voted People's Choice as Waco's #1 Asian restaurant since 2019 by both the Wacoan Magazine and the Waco Tribune Herald. Located inside the popular Union Hall on 8th and Franklin, we're serving up family recipes with a twist. Blazing Asian egg rolls are rolled fresh daily, and their sauces or marinades are made in-house with love. Stop by today. Located inside the popular Union Hall on 8th and Franklin. And for Baylor students, enjoy 10% off with your student ID.
NSJ Event Co., one of the premier event designers in Central Texas and a Centex Sports Network supporter. Voted Waco Awards Event Planner of the Year 2021, NSJ Event Co. is your go-to source for event planning. Whether it's your next baby shower, birthday bash, wedding, or retirement party, NSJ Event Co. will bring out the elegance, class, and style your event deserves. Call NSJ Event Co. at the number on the screen or scan the QR code to schedule a free consultation. NSJ Event Co., where the party lady takes care of all your event needs.
Central Texas home for sports. It's Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports. KWBT-FM, HD2 Waco, Temple, Killeen, Fort Cavazos. The new leader in sports in Central Texas is Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports. This is live from the Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports Studios.
That's right, sports fans.
About to show these boys how we do it.
Tune in to Primetime Sports Talk with Jalen Gillis, your go-to source for breaking sports news in Central Texas and exclusive Dallas Cowboys coverage on the Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back into Centex Primetime on this wonderful Tuesday afternoon. As always, make sure you guys hitting that subscribe button if you're watching with us on YouTube, Centex Sports Network or Centex Sports TV on YouTube. Make sure you go on there, hit the subscribe button. Also, click that bell so you can get notified every time we go live. Download the app so you can listen on Infinity Sports Radio wherever you're at. Centex Sports One on your mobile device. You can download the app and be able to listen to this content 5 to 7 p.m. weekdays. Well, folks, just got done wrapping up talking about the Texans and the Cowboys game last night, talking about the Dallas Cowboys and their potential future. But I want to go to our main part of the show today, and we'll extend this over from this part into hour number 2 as well. Our NFL mid-season awards. We know at the end of the year, every year they give out the MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, all of that. I want to talk with the fellas about who is our favorites for mid-season awards, whether that be our Coach of the Year, whether the Defensive Player of the Year, our Rookie Awards. But we got to start with the biggest award of them all, and that is the NFL MVP. Last year's NFL MVP, Lamar Jackson, even though he didn't have the biggest statistical year, his team was the best team in the league as far record-wise. I believe they went 14-3 that year. He won the MVP, his second one of the year, and that's where I'm going to start with the MVP award, and I'm going to give it right back to Mr. Lamar Jackson. Now, I said earlier in the season, I don't think that Lamar would get I didn't think that Lamar would get the award because obviously voters have voters fatigue and they don't like giving the same guy the award over and over and over. And I guess unless it's Aaron Rodgers, who got 4 of them in the span of like 6 or 7 years. But Lamar Jackson, as of right now, is my front runner to win that MVP. He's playing great each and every week, even though they have 4 losses right now on the season. And Pittsburgh Steelers seem to be his kryptonite once again, as they always are, even though I think they could have won that game if Derrick Henry would have got more than 13 carries. But Lamar Jackson so far playing great this year, coming off of an MVP last year, coming off of the best record in the league last year. I think he's been playing great. I think if their defense was playing better, they'd have maybe 1 loss or even undefeated on this season. It's how well that this offense has been playing so far, in my opinion. He's got 2,800 yards, 25 touchdowns, 3 picks on the season. 117 QBR so far on the season. He's playing great. He's playing lights out football, and a lot of that is due to, obviously, him, Derrick Henry being there as well, and the weapons that they have on this offense that they're finally getting to utilize under Todd Monken, who I was critical of at the beginning of the year, but has done better. Still wish he would run the ball more in those big games. I don't understand why in big games they decide to turn away from the run. But as of right now, I like Lamar Jackson as my MVP. Kyrell, I'm going to start with you, man. If we're going with MVP, who is your favorite right now for midseason MVP so far in the league?
Yeah, man, it's only one clear choice. It's Lamar. He got all his touchdowns. I don't care what nobody says. I took this stance after Dak had his high interception year, and everybody tried to rag on him. I don't. If the ball was dropped, if it hit the receiver hands, and then it gets tipped and another guy catches it, it got to be on the quarterback for me to count the pick. So right now, Lamar has 0 interceptions. None. Just straight touchdowns. None of those picks are his fault. It's only 3, and they're not his fault. So you put that, you have I'm not going to say a perfect season because his team's not undefeated, but just statistically as a quarterback, dude, he took Dak's MVP last year and he's already scored more touchdowns than he did last year.
Yeah.
So, this is an open shut case, man. I don't want to hear nothing about no Jared Goff. I don't want to hear nothing about no Saquon Barkley. Even though that will be my nope, actually it won't be. Yeah, so Lamar Jackson is the one, man. 3-time MVP, let's make it happen. This is gonna put him in those, this is gonna get him a room, in Canton. Possibly with maybe 2 or 3 other dudes, man. He has to win the bowl, but three MVPs is just staggering, and he deserves it at this point.
Yeah, I agree, man. Lamar is doing his thing. Rocky, midseason MVP, who you got so far halfway through the season?
I hate for this to be redundant, but I think it's clear that Lamar Jackson, despite yesterday's performance, and it's funny how people try to sometimes take shots at him. If you say, this is what they said on one of the talking heads said, if you take his record against the Chiefs and the Steelers, he's 2-9. And I would say, how about if you check, what's the guys in Buffalo's name?
Josh Allen.
Check his record against the Chiefs and the Steelers. Check anybody's record against the Chiefs and the Steelers, recently.
Terrible argument.
Yeah, well, I think it's just only an argument because to be honest with you, Lamar has performed as Superman in most games, right? And he has struggled to get the victories against the Chiefs and the Steelers. But he hasn't had any problems against anybody else.
Nope.
Not that he's 22-1 against the NFC. I think he's
it's crazy.
Handled Josh Allen.
Yeah.
And the Buffalo Bills quite well. So I think you try to create these narratives that kind of knock him down a notch. When in all actuality, even if you look at the game yesterday, certainly he struggled somewhat. But why didn't you give the ball to Derrick Henry more? I don't even know what Justice Hill did on that pass. I don't even know how that ball ends up in the defender's hands.
Me either.
And they say it was a great play. I've slowed it down 1,000 times. The guy landed on his back with the ball.
Yeah.
So isn't he supposed to be down at that point? But I don't know, man. It's just,
you're right.
I just think it's clearly Lamar.
Yeah.
There is no other competition, in my opinion. I'm trying to think who you could give it to, but there's just nobody else. You could give it to Jaden Daniels, but he hasn't had the year that Lamar has had.
No.
And I doubt that a rookie would qualify for that award.
Whoa.
Yeah, you would have to have a ridiculous season as a rookie to qualify for that award, and then to just have the numbers that Lamar has had. I don't think Jaden Daniels' numbers stand up to that. Go ahead, Kyrell. You was about to say something?
Yeah, I just want to know why that name even popped in Rocky's head for MVP.
You don't like Jay Daniels?
No. What I was
Nah,
trying to look at a second. Who else would you put in second place then?
Not Jay Daniels, or like he's good,
And I'm
man,
thinking
but I
about
just want to.
historically that now you could look. There's some position players that you can put there, but historically that's always went to a quarterback. So
quarterback.
I mean,
It's still about three. Man, okay, now we can bring Jared Goff back. If we're gonna bring Jaden Daniels,
Man,
we're
get
gonna
out of
bring
here.
Jared Goff back.
The 5 picks threw Jared Goff out of the
Come on,
conversation. I had him in that convo, but the 5-pick game took him out of that conversation, in my opinion. Not over Lamar, obviously, but I had Jared Goff.
Jaden Daniels literally
in
has
that
a
one.
team that's an NFL team that's running for 200 yards a game, man.
Hold on,
So
man. Y'all serious? Y'all want Jaden Daniels in the MVP conversation?
no,
He's in the conversation. Even if I didn't say he's number one, but you got to vote for 5 people if you're voting for it. Jaden Daniels
he's
not.
5?
He's not top 5. I will put if it's going to a quarterback.
Who's having a better year than he is?
I think Josh Allen is in front of him. I think
Josh Allen
I
is in front of him. I think you got 2 running backs in front of him.
But we're saying,
then-
well, we know it's not going to go to no running back. I was just going off quarterbacks. You know it's not going to go to a running back because Christian McCaffrey should have won last year then. It's not going to go to a running back.
We're going to do it like that, yeah. So if it's just quarterbacks.
Yeah, that's
okay,
that's what I'm saying. And Josh Allen is having
Josh Allen is
his
in front of
typical
him.
Josh Allen year, but he's never won a MVP.
Not gonna win it this year.
And he had the same, he throws the ball for about 30 to 40 touchdowns, about 10 or 11 interceptions.
Yeah.
For about 4,500 yards. That's what he does every year in, year out.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like Josh Allen in that slot as well.
And he loses big games.
He loses big games that they always try to cut. It's so nice when they cover up for Josh Allen. I was just talking about this with Kyra the other day. I don't know why they cover up for Josh so much whenever he does something. It's the Brett Favre syndrome. It's like, man, look at the way he lost. Look at how nice it looks when he's losing.
What somebody said the other day is he's the most dominant runner we've ever seen.
Come on, yeah. I was like,
I was like, well, we're not talking about design runs. We're talking about when you drop back to pass and run.
I don't care what run.
And I literally said, in my mind, they never called any runs for Mike Vick.
Ever.
Those were all Those were all
Ever.
scrambles.
Never did they call it. He never ran an option. He never ran a pull. He never ran a counter. He never ran anything. Those were all scrambles. And I heard Rex Ryan on there saying, man, this dude is – it was disrespectful both ways. They said this dude is Cam Newton running the football and he's John Elway throwing the football. I said, this is just getting ridiculous. This is just getting ridiculous with this Josh Allen stuff. The disrespect to John Elway to say that – not saying that Josh Allen can't throw, but we talking about John Elway. Let's be for real. And the cannon of an arm that he had. And Cam Newton forever gets disrespected. I don't know why. They act like the dude didn't win MVP. I just seen him on his podcast talking about how there's no pictures of him in the entire Panthers arena. And there's pictures of Luke Kuechly and Steve Smith and Stephen Mills. He said not one picture in the entire stadium of Cam Newton. And he said the explanation that he got was he never officially retired. So they didn't know if they didn't want to put his stuff up while he was still playing. Disrespect, but he gets it from everywhere. As you can see, people saying he's Josh Allen is as good as a runner of football as Cam Newton. I don't even think that's close. I don't think Josh Allen is better than Cam Newton at just about anything. Maybe he's a better thrower of the football, maybe, but I think he's pretty risky with the football. As at times Cam was risky with the football. Cam came into the league first 3 games, threw for 400 yards each game. Like, we got to start putting respect on Cam,
I
man.
think so. I will say this, right?
Yeah.
Josh Allen plays a version of hero ball that will remind you of a Favre or a era of football where those kind of guys were unique to the way they played the game. I'll just put it like that for the lack of whatever. But at the end of the day, if there was just one of those, it was just one Favre, there was just one John Elway. But we have Lamar, we have Jaden Daniels, we have the list goes on and on.
Vic had a pretty good arm too. They just like to throw him in there as a runner as well.
No, what I'm saying is Josh Allen doesn't play any more unique than the guys that are his contemporaries, right?
Yeah.
Favre was just a guy that had Favre and Elway were guys that were given the freedom to, you guys have to understand the era I'm speaking in.
Mm-hmm.
Those guys were given the freedom to play that way where other quarterbacks weren't.
Yeah. Facts.
Right? Other quarterbacks who had the ability to play that way were never given the opportunity to, and I'll leave it right there.
No, I agree. I agree 100%, and I get that. And like you said, in comparison now to his contemporaries, definitely Josh Allen does things that we see Lamar do, and that we see Jaden Daniels do, that we see, I mean, some of these other guys do in the league. And
somebody just took one for 60 the other day. I'm trying to think of who it.
One of the quarterbacks.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. What?
Man, I can't think of. Man, I can't think of who it was.
It wasn't Richardson, was it? I don't think it was Richardson.
Yeah, I wasn't even thinking about Richardson, but I think it was a guy that I didn't expect to run for that. So yeah. While we're at it, I know the Cowboys are having a horrible season, right? But how about that MVP candidate, Brock Purdy? You know what I mean? What about this is anytime I can take a shot at the 49ers, how does he look without all those weapons? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Without Ayuk and Kittle.
Exactly what Cowboys fans were saying for the last 2 years. Even when they had Purdy in the MVP conversation over Dak last year at certain point in times, I was reminded by plenty of Cowboy fans around me, like Kyrell being one of them, that he is a product of the system that he's playing in. And obviously we're seeing that in its full force this year. And like the 49ers, we talked about it earlier in the year, were they done on their run here? And I don't know if they're necessarily done, but like you said, Brock Purdy does not look like the MVP candidate that he was made out to be at the beginning of his career. When he first started and he came in and he won his first 8 games in a row before he even got a loss, and everyone's saying, he's not a product of the team. He's just playing good football, which he was playing good football. But obviously now, as we see, when injuries set in, when attrition sets in, which I think is doing on the Niners, that might eventually end their run now, going to the NFC Championship for 4 or 5 years in a row. Now, I think it's starting to set in on this team, and I don't think Brock Purdy is enough, and they're going to be faced with a challenge. What are you going to pay Brock Purdy? He's going to be up for a contract. What are you going to give a Brock Purdy? Do you give him the max just because he's going to say, I want the max, and you're scared to go there without a quarterback? And I don't see Kyle Shanahan as a coach that's scared to go in a game without a quarterback because he's done it so many times before. But I'm interested to see how that situation is going to play out with Brock Purdy being up for a contract soon and about to get paid. Kyrie, what do you think about the Brock Purdy situation since Rocky brought it up? We've got a couple minutes before we go on the break. I know you've been critical of Purdy over the last couple of years.
Yeah. I told you. Like, well, I don't know what you want to hear. Like, do with nothing. And like, this is my thing, man. Like, y'all can rag on Dak all y'all want, man. Y'all stole that man's MVP last year with all this Brock Purdy talk. Man.
Let's be perfectly honest, Kyrell. We know what Brock Purdy is because we saw the maturation of Dak Prescott and what he had when he came in at quarterback as a rookie, and what that really means for as an infrastructure to a quarterback success. That's why we were able to identify what he had. Now,
man, he was just bad, man. Like everybody, I don't know about looking at Dak's career.
No. What I'm saying is we saw what a rookie quarterback could do with a full complement of weapons and a dominant offensive line.
Yes.
Right?
All right. I still don't know if that idea comes from my experience watching that.
So you don't. Okay. So
it reminded me of nothing. I didn't think he was a good quarterback.
So you don't think Purdy and Dak came in under similar circumstances?
I'm sure they. I agree that they did. They had a lot of weapons, but I'm just saying when the thought formulated in my mind that this dude is not good at football, I did.
No.
was not
See,
thinking
I
of
disagree.
2016.
So I'm disagreeing with you. I think
Same. I disagree as well.
I think Brock Purdy is good at football, right? I think he is good at football. I just don't
MVP
think
good.
No,
Well, yeah,
MVP ain't good. MVP ain't good at football. MVP is great at football.
Yeah. I'm just simply okay.
Let's clarify good.
Let me.
He's not a game changer, game manager, as Cam Newton would say.
Let me say this.
Yeah, he don't belong in that conversation.
Let me say this. He's not the reason they were winning.
No.
That was my point.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say he's not good at football. I think that would be hyperbolic and disingenuous for me to say.
We're not saying he's not good. I'm not saying he's not good. What I'm saying, I just mean like good as in he's one of these top guys. Like, yes, he's good at football.
But I don't think Dak is one of those top guys though. That's where we're disagreeing.
That's cool. We're not even talking about Dak. We are
talking about Dak. You're talking about the comparison of Brock and Dak.
No, I'm saying I don't think Dak is a guy that can carry a team. I don't think Dak is not a truck. Dak is more of a trailer.
The Super Bowl?
That's the only thing I care about. That's the standard as a Cowboy. That's what I'm saying. So when
12 games, 3 years in a row, Tony Romo couldn't carry a team to a Super Bowl? Like,
if you compare, as a quarterback, you're comparing yourself to Tony Romo, that's the flaw.
Yeah.
Okay, so that, by that case,
if I'm a quarterback in the NFL and I aspire to be a champion, and I'm being compared to Tony Romo, that's the problem.
That can't be your litmus. Winning cannot be your litmus test, man. Because at the end of the day, because there's so many great guys that don't win.
Okay. So let's when you talk about a Cowboy, because I think where you go to a team sets the expectation, right?
Yeah.
Dak Prescott he didn't just go to any team. He went to the Dallas Cowboys, right? He didn't go to a team that was struggling to make a playoffs. Nope. He didn't go to a losing franchise.
Nope.
He didn't go to any of that. He went to an established team, right, and took over for what was the year before a Pro Bowl quarterback.
Yep.
Right? So when he comes in at quarterback, him making a Pro Bowl, though it is remarkable that a rookie makes the Pro Bowl, but to elevate the talent that he had to do what, Kyrell?
Oh, okay. Y'all are being disingenuous right now because y'all are stuck on 2016 and how that looks coming forward, and completely ignoring the fact that he got better as he kept playing. Dak is a better quarterback, was a better quarterback this year or in last year and the year before that. Than who we saw in 2016.
This year?
I mean, he played bad this year, but ability-wise, last year, the quarterback we know that we've been seeing for majority of his career, outside of this abnormality, he has gotten better. I did not see that from Brock Purdy. I didn't think.
But it's only 3 years.
Going to be.
We got to keep the conversation going. I got to get into a break. Yeah. But it's only been 3 years in Brock's Purdy career though. You talking about Dak in his first 3 years, 13-3. When he got his first real season as the starter, projected to come in as the starter, 9-7. Right after that, 10-6.
Look at his numbers up.
It's not like
numbers up.
I'm going to look on his numbers. Like I said, we got to go. Very pedestrian numbers. And I'm going to go back to it because we got to get into a break.
Okay.
Yeah, we're going to come right back to it. We got to get into a break. Touch the top of the hour. Folks, obviously, we got a lot to talk about here on Centex Primetime. Stay locked in and stay tuned. We'll be right back after this short break.
Central Texas home for sports. It's Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports. Catch all your in-depth sports analysis with the best. The hottest sports show in the evening is Centex Primetime, hosted by Jalen Gillis.
Act like y'all.
Weekdays 5 to 7. This is the Central Texas #1 leader in sports. Centex Sports Network.
That's right, sports fans. We can talk about sports.
And Infinity Sports.
Lighthouse streaming a full
200-6895.
Is your church long overdue for audio and video upgrades? Call Lighthouse Streaming for
Central Texas home for
Does your corporate or church event need audio or video production? Don't stress. Call the guys at Lighthouse Streaming. In business since 2017, Lighthouse Streaming has produced hundreds of live events and completed dozens of church and venue installations. Whatever your AV needs are, Lighthouse Streaming has you covered. Give them a call at 254-252-4206. That's 254-252-4206. Or go to lighthousestreaming.com and set up your free consultation.
Are you looking for something new and unforgettable in Waco? Come to the Blazing Asian, where authentic Cambodian flavors meet creative culinary flair. Voted People's Choice as Waco's #1 Asian restaurant since 2019 by both the Wacoan Magazine and the Waco Tribune Herald. Located inside the popular Union Hall on 8th and Franklin, we're serving up family recipes with a twist. Blazing Asian egg rolls are rolled fresh daily, and their sauces or marinades are made in-house with love. Stop by today. Located inside the popular Union Hall on 8th and Franklin. And for Baylor students, enjoy 10% off with your student ID.
NSJ Event Co., one of the premier event designers in Central Texas and a Centex Sports Network supporter. Voted Waco Awards Event Planner of the Year 2021, NSJ Event Co. is your go-to source for event planning. Whether it's your next baby shower, birthday bash, wedding, or retirement party, NSJ Event Co. will bring out the elegance, class, and style your event deserves. Call NSJ Event Co. at the number on the screen or scan the QR code to schedule a free consultation. NSJ Event Co., where the party lady takes care of all your event needs.
Central Texas home for sports. It's Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports. KWBT-FM, HD2 Waco, Temple, Killeen, Fort Cavazos. The new leader in sports in Central Texas is Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports.
Holy Jesus. What is that?
It's time to get in the game.
Do you know what time it is?
Tune in to Primetime Sports Talk with Jalen Gillis.
To me, you are nothing.
Your go-to source for breaking sports news in Central Texas and exclusive Dallas Cowboys coverage.
Come on, start it up. Let's go.
Catch us Monday through Thursday from 5 to 7 p.m. on the Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back into Centex Prime Time here in hour number 2 on the show today on this wonderful Tuesday, evening/afternoon. Hope everybody's doing well out there today. Want to thank everybody that's just now tuning in with us here in hour number 2. Whether you're just now getting off work, headed to work, already at home or in your cars, want to thank you guys for tuning in. As always, download the app so you can listen to this on your mobile devices, in your cars, wherever you're at. Centex Sports 1, you can listen on Infinity Sports Radio 94.5 HD2. Or you can go to YouTube, Centex Sports Network, or Centex Sports TV, and you can watch this content 5 to 7 p.m. weekdays right here on Centex Sports Network. Well, folks, we're in the middle of doing our NFL midseason awards, and obviously a side debate has sparked, and we were talking about Brock Purdy on here. I'm joined in the studio as well by Rocky Miller, also joined in by Kyle over the computer as well. We started talking about Brock Purdy and how he's looked now that he has less weapons, and that obviously sparked a debate about Dak Prescott and where he stands as weapons. Kyle, you were gone before we went into break, so I want to let you continue your thought that you were saying about Dak Prescott and his years since he's been at the Dallas Cowboys, as opposed to Brock Purdy's years in his first couple of years in the 49ers.
Yeah, so Brock, like I get what you guys are trying to say about we knew that Brock Purdy was going to be. No, I don't get what you guys are trying to say by saying that Brock Purdy is. We knew that Brock Purdy wasn't going to be a quarterback because of how Dak looked and panned out. But I just think y'all are forgetting that Dak panned out to 35 touchdowns a year. You know, like he done that 2 or 3 times in his career. He panned out to a better quarterback and a good quarterback than what Brock Purdy is right now. And I think the fact that they tried to throw his name up there in the MVP conversation last year to try to tear down Dak at the same time, I just think that you guys have, like, yes, he's not a guy. He's not one of those guys. But your criteria for that cannot be winning, because if Lamar wins this year, they're going to say he needed Derrick Henry. You know what I'm saying? The only person that really has a shot at becoming one of those guys as a truck driver is Josh Allen. And I don't even know if the way he's playing, he's going to be a truck driver like a Lamar would if he would have won without Derrick Henry. I just don't think win is a fair criteria. Dak progressed. Brock Purdy is stuck.
Well, first off, like I said, this is only Brock Purdy's 3rd year in his career. Second, I wouldn't compare Lamar and Dak in anything because this is the first time we've ever seen Lamar have weapons ever since he's been in high school to right now. He didn't have weapons at Louisville, and he won the Heisman. He had no weapons his entire career in the NFL until this year. So I would never make that comparison as far as is Lamar a truck driver because he's clearly been a truck driver his entire career.
He's had weapons, bro. But I'm saying he would be. Oh,
what weapons?
Hollywood Brown is good.
Come on, man. Come on, bro.
Hey, Kyrell, let's.
I get what you're saying. It's not stacked.
Let's not be disingenuous. I think there's a way to honor Dak in this conversation without diminishing Lamar and trying to put Dak on his same level. Lamar is a historically unique weapon as a quarterback, right? He took the same team that Flacco had a losing record with, and he went on a streak that propelled him to the playoffs. So, as a rookie, then you come in the second year, he wins MVP,
13 wins.
13. The second year, he takes a team that won a playoff that probably would have won the Super Bowl in my opinion. But guys, he ended up hurt. Hold up.
Let's not change the argument.
No. No. What I'm saying is, let's not compare Lamar to Dak because I think we're doing Lamar a disservice, and I don't want to do a disservice to any player. I certainly don't want to
just take the name off. Take the name off. We can just do resumes, right? A guy that is in a leads top offensive edge for like 3 years.
How many MVPs that guy?
Touchdown quarterback. That's what I'm saying. Let's remove the resumes, right? If both these guys.
Well, if you remove the resumes, they're like me.
I mean, the name.
Yeah. You can compare them to me.
I'm just saying. Let's talk about winning, though.
No.
Winning.
No. Okay. So, what I'm simply saying is this, and I hope I didn't send us down a rabbit hole, and I'm gonna try to pull us out this rabbit hole. What I'm simply saying is, I was able to see Brock Purdy for who he truly was because I had seen the same thing with Dak Prescott just 3 or 4 years prior with a full complement of weapons, right? A very competent rookie quarterback can have a rookie campaign and lead his team to the playoffs, right? Now, with Brock Purdy, right, he came back with those same complement of weapons, possibly even better weapons, right, the next year. And he was able to get his guys into a Super Bowl with a top 10, possibly number 1 defense, right?
Mm-hmm.
Probably could have won the Super Bowl had it not been for an injury to one of the linebackers, to be perfectly honest with you.
Yeah.
That whole experience that they had was not because of Brock Purdy. Just like when we went to the playoffs with Dak and played Aaron Rodgers toe-to-toe, that experience was not because of Dak.
Exactly. No,
right?
It was not. It was not.
It was not because of Dak. It was because of the infrastructure that had already been built and Dak came into, right? And he was and let's give both these guys their credit. They came in as mature rookies, professionals at day one,
for sure.
Knew how to prepare, knew how to execute a game plan, and was very competent at their position. And they both coincidentally had a ton of starts in college.
Yeah.
And that may have contributed to their preparedness in the NFL and them having the success very early that they've had. That they've had. My point was, hey, these guys may think that Purdy is on a trajectory to become Tom Brady, to become the next big thing at quarterback. And I'm saying you can't assess that until his weapons diminish somewhat.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't have the game plan. The game kind of is put on his shoulders to win. That's when you can start evaluating whether or not he's that guy. And each and every time, Purdy, much like Dak, each and every time that is put on Dak's shoulders by taking away the running game or requiring him to score a lot of points because the offense pushing him. Much like Brock Purdy, Dak has performed in a similar fashion. They seem to always fall short in situations where the running game is diminished, is deemed ineffective, or the other team can score at a point to where, it makes it they have to press, and they end up making mistakes, throwing interceptions, so on and so forth. It's the same. It's so similar. It's eerie to me when I watch those two guys watch their development, because I remember us thinking Dak was going to at some point turn into Superman, and he never did.
It never happened. And I'm agreeing 100%. And I think that's a spot-on assessment. I think that's what we should look at Brock Purdy more as, hey, his ceiling, he can get to be around Dak. You're comparing Kyrell, you're comparing Dak or Purdy to Dak in Dak's year, 6, 7 in the league? This is Brock Purdy's 3rd year in the league. He hasn't. Okay. You were. I'm just saying, Brock Purdy.
No,
that's exactly what you were doing.
What you guys are saying.
Go ahead.
See, we just disagree about that. Like I don't believe that Dak or that Brock Purdy can reach those levels that Dak did with the talent he has.
He went to the Super Bowl.
He went to the Super Bowl, threw for 4,200 yards and 31 touchdowns. He threw for 4,200 yards and 31 touchdowns. Dak didn't do that to his 6th year in the league. He did that in year 2, his first year as a full starter. His first year as a starter.
That is absolutely outstanding. That's absolutely outstanding.
And you know what's crazy? And this is what's crazy. They were considering giving Brock Purdy the MVP, and he had a teammate that led the league in rushing.
And that's why he did not win it. And that's exactly why they did the right thing and didn't give it to him.
And led the league in yards from scrimmage.
Yeah.
Almost set a record, I think, for yards from scrimmage in 1 year. So I think, when you think about the weapons that Brock had, and again, I'm not saying Zeke Elliott was ever CMC as an all-purpose back.
I'm saying he's close, though.
But when you talk about just the running game,
for sure,
he was something. I think they were comparable when you look at their production.
He was best in the league.
Yeah.
So you guys are comparing. See, that's my thing. Like, y'all don't want to give credit for Dak's past 4 years.
How are we not giving him credit?
Because you guys keep talking about his rookie year. You keep comparing him to the years that Brock Purdy has done. But I'm saying I'm
not talking about his rookie year.
So Kyrell, my only point in this.
So the last 3 years of going 12-4, leading the league and having the best offenses in the league.
Has he ever
nothing to do with Zeke?
Did he ever turn into Superman, Kyrell?
Yes.
Oh, come on. All right, bro. Let's go to the next one.
Last year.
That's Superman?
Yes.
They got blown out by the worst team that made the playoffs last year as well.
One game. So discount the other 17.
So how are you Superman if when you get to the playoffs, it's time to put your cape out, you get curb stomped?
All I'm saying is those other 17 games counted. He got curb stomped. Cool. So does Josh Allen when he plays in the playoffs. Like,
we got a comment on YouTube that says Shador going to San Francisco. I'm sure they would like the cost savings on that.
Hey, they'll give up an arm and a leg to get Shador right now and get him in there instead of Purdy in there. But Kyrell, like I'm saying, man, I don't think you could say he turned into Superman at any point. He was never a game changer at any point in his entire career, probably since high school.
Oh, that's just not true, man.
That's
just not true. That's a little
it's 100% facts. It's not. How is it exaggerated? When was he the game changer? You're gonna go by an individual game because that's all you can't go off a season. Because if you get blown out,
we can go to last year. He was our best player.
Bro, you just said last. Just because he's your best player does not make him Superman. That just means he's your best player.
So I'm a Cowboy fan, right? And I know Dak's record. What is Dak's record against winning teams?
Thank you, Superman. What's his record against good teams? Because we say this every year.
I don't know that off the top of my head.
It's a losing one. It's a losing one. We're telling you what it is. It's a losing one.
We won 3 straight seasons with winning 12 games, having the number 1 offense, and none of those have really, outside of CeeDee Lamb, that last year, none of us have had a top 5 anything. When Brock Purdy has had top 5 at every position in his 2 rookie years, it's not comparable. You have to give that credit for these last 4 years.
He had top 5 running back and tight end. What else you say? Top 5 every position.
All I'm saying is there's a tier under Lamar, Josh Allen, and Joe Burrow, and those guys, Justin Herbert as well, with these talented guys. And then there's a tier where Brock Purdy is, and Dak is not. He's not in that tier. If you want to say he's going to advance to that Dak, I don't think so. That's what I'm
So are
saying.
you
It wasn't
saying
from
are you
2016. I just don't think he ever
are
be
you
that.
saying Dak Prescott is in the top tier of quarterbacks?
I'm saying he's a top 10 quarterback.
I
and
said
Brock
the
Purdy is
top
not.
tier. Is he
No,
in there? Okay.
There's a tier.
So
There's 3 of them. Y'all have 2 tiers. I have 3.
okay, I get you. I understand that. We can go with Mahomes, Josh Allen. We can even put Joe Burrow if you choose.
Yeah.
Right? So who's in that second tier?
I would have to say Dak, Jared Goff, Kirk Cousins.
Purdy ain't in that?
You just said Kirk Cousins,
and then
that puts everybody in there.
That puts 70% of the league in there while putting Kirk Cousins in there. Purdy's for sure in that category as well. If you saying
when you start the tier off with Jared Goff
and Kirk Cousins,
right? Come on now, Purdy's definitely in that tier.
I like Kirk Cousins' body of work, man. Over last year, Brock Purdy. Like I feel like
all right, bro. I feel like you're boosting that and you're hating on Purdy at this point, bro.
I'm not hating, bro.
The dude just threw for the dude in his first year as a starter, a full starter, threw for 4,200 yards and 31 touchdowns, bro.
Kyrell,
and went to the Super Bowl.
He had top 5 players at every.
He did not have top 5 players at every. You can keep saying that. Receiver. Who was the top 5 receiver on that team? Debo. What are you talking about?
Debo is not top 5.
All right, let's go to the NFL awards, bro. Come on, man. Yeah, this is getting wild, bro.
Brown,
I'll take 20. I'll take 20 people before Debo. What are you talking about?
No.
At wide receiver?
At wide receiver. Yeah. I'm taking 20 people before Debo.
He played receiver, running back. He lines up a receiver. I'm taking Debo.
Debo is a gadget player.
Debo gets 100 yards every 6 games, bro. How is he top? How is he? Debo gets 100 yards every 6 games. Why? What is he top 5 at?
He's top. He's a top 5 football player on offense, man. There's not many guys healthy. All right. There's not 5 guys I'm taking before Debo.
That's you, bro. I'm cool, bro. I don't get that. I don't get that at all. Debo's top 5 at anything. Come on.
Yes, man. If you put him on the field, like that's not a weakness. He's winning that matchup.
Just because he's winning a matchup don't mean he's top 5. There's 20 guys I can name you that's gonna win a matchup.
Hey, one of our listeners that said the GOAT said Kyrell is not budget.
He's not.
I mean, hey man, Kyrell, you've made me compliment Brock Purdy, and this is what not my intent. My intent was to laugh and gloat and know that Brock Purdy will never turn into Joe Montana, Tom Brady, or any of those other guys they're hoping he would turn into. He's just he's not a truck. He's a trailer, and that's like what it is. And I hope at some point that they pay that trailer $80 million a year.
Because that's going to derail them, just like it's doing. Yeah. And as long as we know that Dak is also a trailer, Kyrell, he's a trailer. He's not a truck. He hasn't pulled anybody anywhere. You lose in the first round you get blown out. Forget lose. You get blown out in the first round by the worst team that made the playoffs.
Yeah,
I cannot, because that's you the one that brought up that year. I would have brought up another year. You brought up last year.
Yeah.
I'll put it like this. He's a truck against the Jaguars.
Thank you.
He's a truck against the Giants.
Also the Giants.
He's a truck against the old Detroit Lions.
Yeah.
But he's not a truck when it matters.
At all. Or even close.
Wow.
It's just the truth, bro. I mean, it's tough to understand. And
I'm
a Dak
guy. Dak's my guy. Dak behind Roger Staubach.
You don't have to be unrealistic, though.
Behind Roger Staubach.
It's just recency bias, man.
No, behind Roger Staubach, Dak is my favorite Dallas QB, man.
Favorite, okay. That's favorite, but he's, yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't, but I've accepted what he is. I've watched over 150 Dak games from start to finish.
There's plenty of film, bro.
I know what he is.
I just think if you switch say situations, you have a Super Bowl.
You have the same shit. You have the same stuff.
No, sometimes you have to say it like that.
You have the same thing.
The only reason Purdy doesn't have a Super Bowl is because he played the Chiefs, who are in the middle of a three-peat. You said it like he don't have a Super Bowl because he just went out there and flopped. He don't have one because they played a guy that's going to go down as a top 5 player to ever pick up a football in Patrick Mahomes. That's why he doesn't have a Super Bowl. And they lost in overtime.
That's how great everybody else was.
He got blown out by Jordan Love. That got blown out by Jordan Love.
He played the beige beast. And hey, man, again, there's a whole bunch of guys. Bunch of guys that are not Patrick Mahomes.
Exactly.
And that's no slight. See, that's where we are, Kyrell, in sports right now, right?
Yep.
If you're not Patrick Mahomes, then you suck. And that puts Josh Allen sucks, Lamar sucks.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Everybody sucks. But the reality is there's only one Patrick Mahomes, and he's paired with
all-time great defense, all-time great coach, and Andy Reid.
Andy Reid. So you have a formidable but even with Patrick Mahomes, we have to look at it for what it really is. Without a Kelsey in his prime, without Tyreek Hill, it even looks different. It looks different.
Pedestrian
now,
stats.
what's the difference? What Mahomes' superpower is when you need a play.
Always makes sense.
When you need a play, he goes out and gets it. And that's what Purdy and Dak can't do. When you need it,
Facts.
and it's all on their shoulders, and everybody knows it, they can't get it. Yep. And Mahomes always does.
And there's nothing wrong with being in that tier under that. There's I'll keep going back to the Cam Newton argument because everybody got mad at him. There's only a couple of game changers in the league. All the rest of them are game managers. Tom Brady didn't become a game changer until later in his career. Those first Super Bowl runs, he was a game manager. That's why they lost to the New York Giants. He was still in that mode of being a game manager, and he broke out of that mode, and that's what makes Tom Brady Tom Brady. Most people don't break out of that mode and become something else. Tom Brady did. Most people don't. Tom Brady was a game manager. Most people are game managers. There's only a few Cam Newtons, because I always put him in that conversation that goes to a Super Bowl with Ted Ginn as your number one receiver.
And let me say this, and this is where it gets kind of tricky, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'll put Peyton Manning and Tom Brady in a category with this. They were able to be game changers, right, without a dominant physical trait.
Yes, for sure.
Right? Most guys who are game changers have a dominant physical trait. Super strong arm, speed, the ability to run the football.
Rodgers,
Patrick Mahomes.
Elway, Mahomes.
Yes, yeah, scrambling awareness. You know, being able to throw on the run.
Yeah.
Most guys have a physical trait that allows them to be a game changer. There are only two guys I can think of that are game changers that were not physically dominant, and those guys are Peyton Manning and Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Right? And for that reason, people may have hope that Brock Purdy becomes those guys, but I think that style of football is over with, in my opinion.
Yeah, that too.
You know, because of the necessity to move off the spot. They don't pass, back in that era, they passed the ball 25 to 35 times a game. Now they're passing the game 45, 50 times. That's putting your athletic ability on display, my friend. And you better be either precise with the football, super accurate with the football, or you better be able to get out of the harm's way if, in fact, somebody is rushing you.
No, that's facts. That's facts. And I know we'll just agree to disagree on this one, Kyrell, because obviously, like my man in the comments said, you're not budging off your take on Dak. But that's cool. That's cool, man. Hey, defend your quarterback, man. T.O. did the same thing. He had to get in that interview and defend his quarterback. So I get it. Yeah, you got to defend your quarterback when it comes to Dak. But I want to go back to these midseason awards, man. We got to get through a few of these now because we're taking up some time talking about Dak and Brock Purdy, which I didn't plan to do, but it always makes for entertainment as well. So I want to go right to Coach of the Year. We just did MVP. I want to do Coach of the Year. My Coach of the Year so far, I got Dan Quinn. I think what Dan Quinn has done for the Washington Commanders has been great. Obviously, you guys just alluded to it in hour number one. Dan Quinn could have definitely been the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys, and they chose to pick Mike McCarthy over him. I like Dan Quinn as the head coach. Obviously, there's a lot of guys You could go hit. The close second for me is Kevin O'Connell in Minnesota, because nobody expected Minnesota to do what they were doing. But with Washington having the number 2 pick in the draft and being in the cellar for the last few years, especially with Sam Howell and guys like that at quarterback, you pair in Dan Quinn as a coach, you pair in Jaden Daniels now to run that offense with a Cliff Kingsbury in as offensive coordinator. I think they've done a great job out there in Washington as far as coming up and being coach of the year. I see in the comments right here, he said Mike Tomlin, coach of the year. I had him right in there as well. Tomlin never gets enough credit as far as being one of the top coaches. Still has yet to have a losing record.
Yeah, he was going to have one this year.
Yeah, exactly. And so I like Dan Quinn right now as my coach of the year. Rocky, I'll go right to you for coach of the year.
I have to go with Dan Quinn as well because of where they were predicted to finish and where they are right now. But I also got to say there's a couple guys I want to give credit for just doing outstanding jobs, I think, because they are the reason why their teams are having the success they are having. One, of course, is Mike Tomlin.
Yeah.
I got to give him his props.
Yeah.
But one guy that people are not giving him much consideration, but I think what he's done in totality, it is sensational, and that's Dan Campbell.
Yeah, man.
What Dan Campbell has done with the stinking Detroit Lions and what he's turned them into in 4 years,
incredible.
It's been incredible, and give their GM a huge pat on the back because they've done it largely through the draft.
Mm-hmm.
The only free agent acquisition that I really can think of is Jared Goff.
Yeah, and that was a trade. They traded. Stafford trade.
Yeah,
they came in.
Yeah. That was a trade, but all the other, I think they let Slay go. I mean, there's been some things that really worked out for him.
Yeah.
And even when they wanted him to get rid of Aaron Glenn as defensive coordinator,
yes, they did.
He stayed with Aaron Glenn. His I didn't realize it that was his college teammate and also a fellow Texan. But anyway, my point in saying it is that Dan Campbell is doing a sensational job, and I think he should get some recognition as coach of the year as well.
I think they start to feel like you're used to doing it after doing it, even just in a couple years. They just chalk you up as, oh, well, we're used to that guy doing it, because Dan Campbell, obviously, Mike Tomlin, obviously, even Andy Reid, they're 9-1. I mean, Andy Reid could be in that conversation every single year in and year out. Kyra, who you like right now for coach of the year?
Yeah, Dan Campbell is probably the best fit just because of where they expected. But I didn't expect much of the Steelers either.
Yeah,
I'm just being frank with you. I thought they were going to be picking top 10 as well, top 12. So my vote would be Mike Tomlin. The way he handled, he gave Justin Fields a shot. That seemed like kind of more like a solid, in his career, before. I don't think too many guys were just beating down the door for Justin Fields. And I know Russell Wilson was quote unquote hurt, and but I think they probably could have brought him back earlier than they wanted, than they did. But I'm just really impressed with how he's handled that situation. Also impressed with Russell Wilson. And then the defense is just still, they just always competing, man. Like, it's a couple franchises that, I've always considered the Steelers to be, a great franchise. And it's just because they keep their culture going. And I just want to salute Mike Tomlin for winning again, man. Like, it still don't even feel like he's winning, but he is.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy.
Well, it's funny. I was thinking about it. Yes, I went kind of on a little deep dive because the game he won against Baltimore, there was a game early in the season that they won the exact same way. And Tomlin was criticized. Justin Fields was criticized harshly by it. And I'm just, okay, I'm wanting to see, are they going to criticize Mike Tomlin or Russell Wilson in this instance? And they're not. They're not criticizing them for winning with 6 field goals.
Yeah.
And
2-0 in games with no touchdown scored.
And just a month ago, they really, gave the Steelers the business, or Tomlin
Justin Fields,
and Justin Fields the business about winning with 6 field goals. So it's funny how after a month and a half of Russell Wilson, I don't know if that's more of a credit to them accepting that the Steelers know what they're doing and they're going to end up being a winning franchise and making the playoffs, or is it them showing some deference to Russell Wilson and saying that wanting him to be a more competent, seemingly more competent quarterback than Justin Fields. I think it's here's my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I think Mike Tomlin knew it was a wash. He saw both of these guys in training camp. I think he knew it was a wash. I think he was hoping some guy would give him some juice.
Mm-hmm.
And I think in this case, whoever came in second was going to give him some juice.
I agree.
Right? But the fact of the matter is they're in the playoffs and they have 2 quarterbacks. They're in a much better situation than most NFL teams. They have 2 quarterbacks that they can win with.
Yeah.
And I wish that was the case for the Cowboys.
Yeah, they do. And I've heard people say before, if you got 2 quarterbacks, it's a problem. Or if you got 2 quarterbacks, you got 0. I'm not agreeing with that at all. Mike Tomlin, like you said, has 2 guys he can win with. And I do like your point. I think whoever came in second was going to be the guy deemed as the guy that's going to come in and give him some juice. If Russell would have started and they would have won with 6 field goals, they'd have said Russell's washed just like he was in Denver, because it's not like he's doing anything spectacular now, but they're saying Russell Wilson's back and this is the let Russ cook era.
Yeah, I think it was the game they beat the Chargers.
Yeah.
They beat the Chargers, which you see they're probably going to be a bidding for a playoff team.
Oh, yeah, 7-3.
And they beat Broncos the same way.
Mm-hmm. The exact same way. Yeah, that's how they win football games. And Mike Tomlin, like you said, he looked at what he had in training camp and said, hey, this is how we're going to have to win football. We're going to have to play some defense, and we're going to have to run the football, and we're going to have to limit turnovers, and that's what they've been able to do. So I'm not mad at that pick at all, Kyrell, of having Mike Tomlin as the coach of the year as well.
And when you think about it, and this is not a shot at Russ, but it is. He literally beat the Steelers, the Jets, and the Giants, and none of those teams are going to be in the playoffs.
Yeah. and that's how they hype it up. They hype it up and say like he's been playing, because he hadn't been playing. He could have threw. I watched the game. I watched pretty much that whole game. He could have threw about 4 picks in that game. In the fourth quarter, they dropped 2, like hit him in the chest, fumbled with the ball, tried to run, and then dropped it. 2 of them. So this could have been a completely different take on this.
He threw one right to a guy.
Yeah, and hit him directly in the chest, and he fumbled around with it and then ended up dropping it. So he could have threw about 3 or 4 picks in this game. He just ended up only throwing one of them. So he's not just playing great, but I definitely do give credit to Mike Tomlin too, because he always just finds a way to win. I want to go to Offensive Player of the Year. My Offensive Player of the Year, I think is kind of standard. I got Saquon Barkley, man. Saquon Barkley is I've been saying it. He's the best running back in the league. Derrick Henry is doing what he's doing, but Saquon, the things that Saquon can do, nobody else is able to do. And I'm including Christian McCaffrey in that. I always thought that Saquon was better than McCaffrey. I thought McCaffrey just got the luck of the draw and going to San Francisco.
Where we are in the league when the 2 best running backs this season were available last year.
It's crazy.
You understand what I'm saying? Like
free agents.
Yeah, like they were available.
Yeah.
And of course the Cowboys needed running back. Again, that goes to show that the devaluation of the running back is really a detriment to the stability of a team building. Meaning, like this, look at the 2 teams that they left and where those teams are.
Yep. The bottom of the cellar. The very bottom. The bottom of the bottom.
Like trying to build a program without, and you have a dominant running game, and you let that get away. As again, as a Cowboy fan, Kyrell, you understand what it means to not have an effective running game.
Yeah.
It puts the burden on your quarterback. Thus, we're sitting here at 6-3.
And look at Derrick Henry and the Ravens, who are sitting at 7-4. Look at Saquon Barkley with the Eagles, who have the Eagles looking like one of the top teams in the NFC right now, sitting at 8-2. because of the play of the running back. And I view the running back thing, I'll let you get in here too, Kyrell, in a sec. I look at the running back as the same way I looked at how Steph Curry changed the game with the three-pointer. And everyone said, man, we just need to shoot a bunch of threes and get away from big man and defense, and it'll work. And it never worked. And then the guy that, like the guys that are running the ball now are the winners, the guys that, hey, we're going to go get a big man in Jokic, and he's just going to dominate everybody. And we're going to go back to what we know basketball to be. And he's going to completely kill y'all because y'all all try to change and become this. We saw Patrick Mahomes throw over 50 touchdowns with Tyreek Hill. He said, hey, we don't need no running back. Mahomes ain't had no running back. Tom Brady didn't have a running back, even though they had running backs for particular situations. They didn't have a dominant running back. And they said, hey, we don't need running backs anymore. Now look at the teams with running backs. I'm just looking at the top 5 rushers outside of Chuba Hubbard. Everybody else in here is a top team. Derrick Henry at number 1 with 1,100 yards. Saquon, 1,100 yards. Both of those teams are good. Josh Jacobs on the Packers with 800 yards.
He was available.
Jahmyr Gibbs is sitting right behind Chuba Hubbard, and they're 8-9-1.
Where is my man from the Chiefs?
Pacheco?
No, not Pacheco.
Kareem Hunt. Because I know he came in. He came in late, so he's going to be near the bottom. He's 28, but he got 500 yards.
Yeah, you know what I mean? I mean, we don't have a running back with 500 yards.
No, they don't. And they went in and got one too.
So he's going to get $1,000.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he's going to end up going for a rack.
So that's what I'm talking about. Like, there's been a devaluation of the running back, but I think it's essential to team building.
Yeah,
it's essential to team building. I would trade. Again, we don't have a running back on our roster that anybody would want. Like that's the reality. Is that if we cut our whole running back room, none of them would get picked up
the next day
by anybody,
by any team. They would not be picked up. Rico or Zeke would not be picked up, or Deuce Vaughn. Nobody. I don't even know if they will go to a practice squad, and that's the problem with the Cowboys right now. Kyrell, get in on this offensive player of the year. Who you got in there?
And mine is Saquon, so that's why I agree with you.
I figured.
Yeah. This is a wash. Yeah, mine is Saquon Barkley. He's I ain't gonna. Somebody told me one day, man, that like, oh, when Saquon went to the Eagles, he's never done nothing. They brought up the fact that he ain't never really did nothing against the Cowboys. And I was just like, man, y'all don't understand. Like,
been on the Giants.
We been on the Giants. Like, this dude, like, it was always. I mean, come on, man. Like, Jalen, when he came in the league, it was immediately who's better, Zeke or Saquon, and we were both like. Yeah, that kid got a little more juice. Like, he got a lot more talent. Zeke was Zeke.
Yeah, Zeke was the best in the league.
And we still thought Saquon was. So the fact the day he went to the Eagles, man, it makes sense because Penn State and everything. But oh my goodness, I was sick, and that's what you do, man. This is why Jalen Hurts is looking good, man. He's keeping them winning games.
Exactly.
Like,
this is all you need. I watched a portion of the Hard Knocks edition of, I guess it was the draft edition of the.
Oh yeah, they did the summer Hard Knocks this year for the first time.
Yeah, but it was
the New York Giants.
Yeah, with the New York Giants
off-season.
And it lets me know that I possibly could have been.
Man, I thought the exact same thing.
Like I simply said, dude, you're dumb. Like you don't let Saquon though. You have Daniel Jones. He needs all the help he can get.
Everything.
Right? And you elect to let him go. And once you let him go, you can't control where he goes.
No.
Then the owner simply says, if he signs with the Eagles, I'm going to be sick. And guess what? He said the owner knew, right? So my point is saying this, right? The people on the inside make this game seem so
hard.
So hard.
Man. It's not. It's not, man. And I understand. I don't want to diminish any of their credentials, but I had the exact same thought process while watching it. Because I'm watching them in here, look on this little whiteboard and sign people, and started hyping up Devin Singletary and started comparing Devin Singletary and saying how they could get the same type of production out of Devin Singletary that they would get out of Saquon Barkley. And the GM said, well, I told Saquon, hey, go out there and see what you can get, and just before you sign the deals, call us back.
He ain't calling you back.
That's disrespectful. He's the best player in your organization, and you say, go see what they offer you, and then call me back.
I think
what are you talking about?
Ultimately, we're in a situation where now this goes on. I'm give a little lecture here, but at the end of the day, you're dealing with people, right?
Yeah.
And I think you have to pack fair with people who pack fair with you. And so what I mean by that is if you have a guy on your team, and I'll put Dak in this category, that stands by the franchise, does the right thing.
For sure.
Do what you ask him to do whenever he asks you to do it. Don't complain, just carries out his duties. You have to reward that guy even when you may not think he's your best option. You understand what I'm saying? Or you may not think, you may have to pay a little above market value, but what he's worth to you in intangibles is well worth whatever he costs, right?
Yeah, for sure.
When you franchise a guy like that, and then you sign a guy like Daniel Jones to a $40 million deal, what does that tell you about who you value?
Yeah.
Right. I think Saquon was out on those guys as soon as they franchised him and signed Daniel Jones.
For sure.
You can't sign Daniel Jones to a long-term deal until Saquon is tightened up.
Yeah. And it ain't like Saquon was old. Saquon is in the middle of his prime, and you chose to what you said. You
I
chose
can't
to
even
go
deal with Daniel Jones
until
I got Saquon.
Shouldn't be looking that way until Saquon. He is the cornerstone of this.
And
franchise.
I'm not doing the franchise tag, because that's disrespectful.
It is. Just like it's disrespectful to say go see what they offer you out there and then call me back.
I will say, coaches and GMs have to at some point acquiesce to the point that running backs are important, and they mean something. Because guess what? After Saquon does this, is he going to go back to the drawing board and get more bread? I think he should.
Yeah, and he would be absolutely right to be able to go and do that. So.
And so I hope the situation with Derrick Henry and Saquon Barkley, there's a resurgence to giving the running back proper value in the market, because I don't think it helps us as fans, but for someone who loves football, the guys who risk the most should get paid the most.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And nobody's risking more than your job is to go out there and get hit. There are no rules to protect running backs in any situation. They can get hit any type of way, and there's no rules or no penalties that go against it, and there's rules and penalties protecting almost anybody else out there on the field. So I agree with you. Hopefully there is a resurgence in running backs, and we all agreed on Offensive Player of the Year. We all picked Saquon Barkley. For Defensive Player of the Year, it's probably where we'll all pick somebody different, because there's really no clear front runner, in my opinion, for Defensive Player of the Year.
I'll go first on this.
Go ahead. I'll let you go ahead and rock out for Defensive Player of the Year.
I've watched. I studied this, and I don't think this is necessarily. It usually rests on sacks, or interceptions, or something like that. But I like to watch the game, man. And when I watch the game, there's nobody who wreaks as much havoc as JT Watt.
TJ Watt,
yeah. TJ Watt.
For sure.
And he's who I would have a Defensive Player of the Year, hands down.
Yeah.
He makes the Steelers defense, he takes away a whole side of their defense, not only in the passing game, but also in the running game.
Yeah, no, I agree. I love TJ Watt out there as well. Kyra, I'll let you go for who do you got for Defensive Player of the Year before I do mine?
Yeah, I was gonna go TJ Watt, but I'm gonna just for the sake of argument, man, I'm gonna say Dexter Lawrence.
Oh, that was my pick. That was my pick. I had that. Okay. No, go ahead. Do your thing.
Okay, yeah.
Go ahead, do your thing.
Yeah. Dexter, man, like the amount of pressure and sacks he's getting from the middle, like he's having one of those. It's just his team is garbage. So I don't know how much winning plays into the DPOY, but I don't think no player has been more dominant than Dexter Lawrence. Like he's getting triple teamed and moving people, dude. Like, it's crazy.
His first 4 weeks in the season, I'm not sure what it was right now, but he was at like an 85% win rate on pass rushers through the first 4 or 5 weeks in the season. Wow. He's been completely dominant. And like you said, it's only because he's on the Giants, and the Giants are absolutely horrible. Dexter Lawrence, man, is playing out of his mind. I think he's somebody that should go back to the drawing board and say, hey, if y'all want me to stick around on these Giants, even though they paid him, hey, I'm going to need a restructuring of the contract because we're terrible. and he is possibly the best defensive player in the league. For sure, a top 5 defensive player in the league. I think if Aiden Hutchinson didn't get hurt, I think he was going to run away with this award. His impact that he was having for the Detroit Lions was crazy. He's still tied for 7th right now in sacks, and he's played half the games that everybody else has played out there. He was having a phenomenal season. But I'm just like you as far as Jelana thinking Kyrell, and I had Dexter Lawrence for my Defensive Player of the Year. Last couple awards, we got the rookie awards. The Offensive Rookie and Defensive Rookie of the Year. I'll start with offensive. I think it's going to be close to consensus, but I got Jaden Daniels as Offensive Rookie of the Year. Obviously, he's having a phenomenal season. Me and Rocky just talked about him being potentially in the MVP conversation because of where he has this team at. Complete game changer since he's been on this team. This team picked second. Yes, Dan Quinn implemented his defense, implemented his guys out there, but they don't have a lot of star power on this team. Only real star power you could point to on this team is at the quarterback position, and that's with Jaden Daniels. In my opinion, you could talk about Jonathan Allen and Deron Payne as well. Those guys are good, but as far as just star power, the star power has been Jaden Daniels so far this year, and he's having a phenomenal year. Rocky, I'll go right back to you for Offensive Rookie of the Year.
Man, I don't think there's a rookie having a better season than Bo Nix right now. When you look at a quarterback that's starting and they're really 6-5, they're projected to win 5 games this year. They've already won 6. I don't know, man. I just think you got to give, I know quarterbacks get preferential treatment, but I think they impact the game so much. And we saw what Denver was last year. And so I think Bo Nix, is well on his way to winning the Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, I mean, after that 4-touchdown game he had last week and blowing out a Falcons team that we all considered to be a playoff team, and they crushed him. And he in that game, he was the dominant factor in that game. 4 touchdowns out there in that game. I think he threw for about 350 yards in that game as well. So I'm not mad at that at all. Bo Nix definitely, as the season progressed, he had some wins in there where we saw him win with 60 yards in a game out there. But
is that who ran like a 60-yard touchdown?
It must have been. It must have been Bo. It must have been Bo Nix. So he's definitely affecting the game. And like I said, he's progressed throughout this year, and you got to give a guy credit for getting better each and every week, and that is definitely Bo Nix. Kyrie, who you like for Offensive Rookie of the Year?
Yeah, man, I'm going Jaden Daniels, man. Like, Bo Nix been winning games and everything, but I can't forget them first 4 weeks. Like the first 3 weeks. I mean,
oh man,
weeks.
Oh man, you got me on that one. I can't. Yeah,
60 yards and a win.
I mean,
it's Jaden Daniels. My bad. My fans and listeners out there, man.
But Bo, as bad as those first 4 weeks is, he's only about 80 yards behind Jaden Daniels in yards, and he's thrown more touchdowns than Jaden Daniels. So it ain't necessarily a bad pick, but I think consistent wise, Jaden. Go ahead and finish, Kyrell.
Oh, my bad, was muted. But yeah, man, I got to go Jaden Daniels just because of the actual consistency of it, and I feel like that it has looked better, honestly. I know Bo Nix probably, they're probably similar in stats, man. But when I tell you, man, this dude he wasn't throwing the ball past the line of scrimmage for like 3 weeks. You know how frustrating it is to watch a football game and they won't throw the ball past the line of scrimmage or complete a pass past the line of scrimmage? It was horrible. So I salute to him for getting better, man. He's going to have a nice, long 4-year, 5-year career. He's already 30, I think.
Who was that?
And then Bo Nix, isn't he like 29 or something? 28?
Yeah, he already old.
I think he's 26.
He one of them like the dude at Oregon now, Dylan Gabriel. They've been playing college football since 2013 and stuff like that.
yeah. He'll get a second contract, man, and maybe I don't know what he's going to do.
He's 24, by the way, guys. So.
Oh man, what? I thought you were right about 26.
He started as a freshman. That's what it was. He started as a true freshman. I don't know how he got that much eligibility because still, even though he's 24, you started as a freshman. That's 18. You played 6 years of college football as a starter. So he's got plenty of experience coming into that, and maybe that's why he's having the success that he's had. But I think we all had
Jalen.
Yeah,
we watched him in the dorm, man. Like
that's what I'm saying.
I could have swore I seen him.
He was born the same year as Jaden Daniels. Those guys who
that's crazy.
Those guys who came out as in 19. A lot of those guys are old because they got the
COVID year. The COVID year. Okay. That COVID year helped a lot of people. And
it's like the Twilight Zone, man.
Yeah. No, because I do remember watching
that. I didn't realize that Jaden played 3 years at Arizona State.
Oh yeah,
2 years at.
That's why he wanted to go to. That's why. What's the name? Dude at the 49ers was trying to get to Washington before he re-signed Brandon Ayuk before he re-signed in San Francisco because that was his quarterback when he was in college. Jaden Daniels was his quarterback at Arizona State, and that's what made him want to get to Washington so bad. But before he ended up re-signing with the 49ers. But I agree, Jaden Daniels. I think we all put in Jaden Daniels in there. Rocky put in a 50-50 in there with Bo Nix and Jaden Daniels. But both of those guys definitely are good picks and deserving of winning that award. Last one is Defensive Rookie of the Year. This one, you can kind of go anywhere on this pick. It's really just who you like right now for Defensive Rookie of the Year. I like Jared Verse. Out there in Los Angeles. I think he's been having a great season. I liked him when he was at Florida State. Florida State was just bad for most of the time he was there, but he was a top recruit coming out of college. He was a guy that was projected to come out and be a top pick in the draft. And now that he did get to the draft and got to the Los Angeles Rams, he's had a great effect on the Rams so far. He's got, I think, 5 sacks on the season already. The 2 rookies I was picking from when I was thinking about this award was him and then the guy out in Green Bay. I'm trying to think of the safety's name, Evan Williams. He's been playing great since he got in as a starter. I think somebody got hurt, and he ended up having to start a couple games, and his tape has been great. I've watched a lot of film breakdown on Evan Williams, and he's going to be a stud moving forward at that safety spot. But the guy I picked for this was Jared Verse out there in Los Angeles. Kyrell, I'll start with you. Who'd you like for a Defensive Rookie of the Year?
You want me, Jalen?
Yeah. Go ahead. Okay, Rocky, I'll go ahead and go with you while Kyra's working out his mic.
My guy is a guy that doesn't have a lot of stats, man, to be perfectly honest with you. But I'm looking at his play.
Mm-hmm.
And it's Quinyon Mitchell.
Okay, man.
You know, I want to say last I checked, he had given up a touchdown.
Man, yeah, I'm tripping. I'm tripping. Quinyon Mitchell, for sure. I'm tripping.
Yeah, so
Quinyon Mitchell.
He's been playing lights out, man. Even though it's to the point where they're just not throwing at it. Right?
They're not.
And so, he's having a sensational year, man. Yeah. He started his career as he's the next generational lockdown corner, and he's doing a great job at it. Matter of fact, he's really the engine behind the Eagles' defensive turnaround, if you ask me.
Because 100%.
Them being able to take away a team's best receiver has allowed them to do some of the pressure stuff that they like to do, and he's playing great, man. It was a great pick. Howie Roseman, he amazes me on how his picks turn out sometimes because they don't always come in with a lot of fanfare, but they always, they tend to really play well.
Taking a guy that high out of Toledo is something that not a lot of people would have done because obviously you're going to say the competition that he playing at Toledo. But Quinyon, I got to 100% agree with you and even change my pick at this point. Quinyon Mitchell for sure is Defensive Rookie of the Year. The stats that guys are putting up against him are his stats. Dudes aren't getting the ball. We just watched him on Thursday Night Football. Terry couldn't get the ball. He is the number one option, and I like Terry McLaurin as a receiver. He couldn't do anything. He was in a straitjacket the entire night.
Yeah, he's just wasting time looking over.
Yeah, he was just getting cardio. Terry McLaurin was out there just getting cardio. He was running around on the field. Quinyon Mitchell had him completely locked up in that game, and that's a huge reason for the success of the Eagles in this back half of their run. And I think now on a 6-game winning streak because they're able to put Slay on number 2s now, and we're putting Quinyon Mitchell on the number 1s. And now we're starting to see those Georgia boys up front start to have some success.
It's giving Slay kind of a rejuvenation because they're able to put the safety over the top of him.
Yep.
Right.
He was getting cooked at the beginning of the year.
Which he's a baiter and a chance taker. He's similar to who we have at the Cowboys.
Yeah, with Diggs, yeah.
Yeah, with Diggs. You know, he's gonna get beat because he plays the ball a lot. He's gonna take 2 or 3 steps, look at the quarterback. 2 or 3 steps, look at the quarterback.
For sure.
And some guys, you don't have that luxury of doing so. But he also, the underneath stuff, Slay is really good with.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And so I'll say this. You know, it's made their defense vulnerable, and like you said, it's improved their rush and their attacking. And so the Eagles, you know, are going to be reckoned with in the NFC this year.
Yeah, the Eagles are going to be a force to be reckoned with, and I thought it was because of their defense that they weren't going to be a force. But what Saquon has shored up for Jalen Hurts, and then what Quinyon Mitchell has shored up in that backside for the Eagles, it's been great. That's been their Achilles heel, has been that secondary, even from the years of them going to that Super Bowl and adding Quinyon Mitchell and even putting Cooper DeJean has played decent football out there as well, kind of playing a nickel / safety spot for them as well. Kyrell, we got a couple minutes left. I'll let you do your defensive rookie of the year pick real quick.
Yeah, man. I'm changing mine too. You know, I would have just said Quinyon, but I didn't have him before y'all started talking. I completely forgot that I saw that this weekend, man. I was gonna say Terrion Arnold. You know, I was just gonna I'm not really wasn't too impressed with anybody else. I haven't seen much of Jared Verse this year, but Quinyon Mitchell has to be the pick so far.
Man,
as much as I hate to say it, man, but I did. That stat did go across my TV this week, and I was just like, oh man, whatever. I'm just gonna ignore it. I'm just gonna ignore it.
They got him one. They got him one in Philly, bro. Quinyon Mitchell is definitely the real deal. I mean, and then he runs a 4.3 on top of it. So if he does get beat, he's catching up to whoever you stick out there. And that was even happening with Terry. It was a couple times Terry kind of got off a little bit, but the dude was following him, man. He was in his back pocket the whole night. So Quinyon Mitchell. So that wraps up our mid-season NFL awards, folks. Want to thank everybody for tuning in with us today. Had a full show today trying to do these NFL mid-season awards and a couple other things on here. Want to thank Kyrell for coming on here with me, Rocky as well. HBCU Coaches Corner is going to be coming up next at 8 o'clock, so make sure you guys are getting ready to tune in for that as well. Want to thank everybody for tuning in with me. We will be back tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll be back on here 5 to 7 p.m. I have Wayne Walker in studio with me. We'll go through some more of these games for this upcoming weekend. We'll talk some more college football as well. So, folks, that is tomorrow, 5 to 7 p.m. Like I said, HBCU Coaches Corner coming up. So make sure you guys getting ready for that. Getting ready to sign off here is Jalen Gillis. We will see you guys next time here on Centex Primetime. Everybody have a great evening.
Central Texas home for sports. It's Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports. Catch all your in-depth sports analysis with the best. The hottest sports show in the evening is Centex Primetime, hosted by Jalen Gillis.
Act like y'all.
Weekdays 5 to 7. This is the Central Texas #1 leader in sports. Centex Sports Network.
That's right, sports fans.